Today's topic is fitness, mind-body connection, power of thoughts. And on the morning I was getting myself together to start working on this speech, I was surrounding myself with books and things that I had written. And I decided to open a little book that I have called the Book of Questions, just to see what the question would be for the day. Because, you know, it's just a little book that has these bizarre questions in it to use as conversation starters or just kind of get your mind going. So on that day, the question was, would you like to have a high-definition nude image of yourself in your physical prime? And if not, do you think you might someday wish you could see one? So, of all the people I ever thought I might want a high-definition nude photo of, myself was a person I never really gave much thought to. But it did get me thinking about when I was in my physical prime, though. We have so many different bodies over time. I think physical prime time is different for each of us. I've seen some of the people that I went to high school with that were athletes back then, and I see them today, and I'm in way better shape than those guys are. And it kind of makes me feel pretty good. But then I have a couple friends who struggled with weight issues in high school, and they got really into fitness, and they're in way better shape than I am now. So it's different for everyone. You know, what was our physical prime? But what is the same for all of us is that we have different bodies as we age. We start out as babies, and then we're toddlers, and then teenagers, young men and women, our 20s, our 30s, our 40s. Our physical being is always changing. Would it be possible for someone to be in their physical prime time when they're 60 years old? What about 70 or 80? Maybe. I guess it depends on what preceded those years. As a nation, maybe as a world, we sure seem to spend a lot of time putting forth the best physical appearance we can. We bathe, we do our hair, if we have hair. We whiten our teeth, we work out, we diet, we spend billions every year on things to make us look, smell, and feel better physically. So how do you feel physically? Are you happy with where you're at? I mean, some of us might be. And if you're not, why not? I'm almost never happy with where I'm at. And when I look back, I don't know if I ever really have been once I became old enough to care about how I looked. If I ever could figure out when my physical prime was, and I got a photo of myself when I was in it, I bet if I could look inside my head, I was telling myself something negative about how I looked. Last week I talked a little about who we are, and one of the things I said we are not is our bodies. We are not our bodies. But somehow who we are, that essence of who we are as humans, the part of us behind our thoughts, is held within our bodies. And very spiritual people and those who have had near-death experiences have had the ability at times to transcend the body. But I have yet to do it while I'm conscious anyway. We can all do it when we dream, though. In our dreams we can fly, right? We can see and converse with people who died years ago. We can be other people. Last night I was Theodore Roosevelt. We're not bound by our bodies in our dream states. Some might say the dream state is the more natural state for our souls. But that's a topic for another day. While we're on earth, our souls are held within our bodies. Can our bodies influence our thought stream? I think they can. If I tied you to a chair and stuck a hot poker in your leg, your thoughts are going to change. But can our thought streams change our body? Again, the answer is yes. Have you ever gotten goosebumps while you're listening to music? It's thoughts influencing the body. So what's the connection? I've pretty much always been a fan of the show The Biggest Loser. Now, not everyone is. There's a lot of things that have come out about that show that might be negative, but for a myriad of reasons, I kind of liked it. Some of the physical transformations on that show were incredible. I realized they isolate people and get them focused solely on fitness. And unless you're somehow able to do that and pay professional trainers to work with you on a daily basis, it's pretty unrealistic for anybody to do at home. But still, the winner usually loses 50% of their weight in a 7-month period. How is that possible? Well, if you've watched the show, you've seen that most of the contestants come in with a significant mental baggage along with their physical limitations. So changing their thoughts about who they are and what they're capable of was as much a part of that show as doing the actual work. And I have struggled at times in my life with weight. It seems to me that no matter what the issue is that we're having problems with in our life, we need to bottom out before we can start heading in the right direction. For me, my physical low point happened years ago at a time I was running 7 days a week for 2 miles. I mean, running 7 days a week, 2 miles a day, and I could not lose weight. I hit the highest weight I've ever been, 195 pounds. I'm 5'9", 195. Running every day. And I mean, when I'm obsessed with something, I ran every day. And it just was driving me nuts. Couldn't lose weight. So around that time, Nutrisystem started a vegetarian plan. By the way, I was a vegetarian too. You know, I'm just like, how can this be? So I decided to give the Nutrisystem plan a try. I really felt like it had to be something nutritional. I mean, you know. So their plan had me eat smaller amounts 5 times a day, something I still do to this day: breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner, evening snack. It's really a 3-month plan. I don't know if anyone's ever done Nutrisystem, but you do it for 3 months. You kind of eat some of their food. They send it to you in a big box. And after that, you've learned a new food lifestyle, and you just kind of, the idea is that you hopefully stick to it. I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. I had no idea what I was doing to myself with poor eating habits until I did the Nutrisystem program. You actually have to measure your portions. Like, you ever see a portion of breakfast cereal? Oh, because my portion was, you know, bowl full. That's breakfast cereal. You know, couple pieces of toast with not butter and jelly and, you know, a banana or whatever. I mean, you know, it was a lot. I had to count my grapes. Like, if you wanted grapes with breakfast, I think it was 13 grapes. And then our stepdaughter one day came in, and I'm like 2, 3, counting my grapes. She's like, what do you? I'm like, I'm counting my grapes. I can only eat 13 grapes for breakfast. She's like, what if they're big grapes? I'm like, I get more. So anyway, before I did their plan, I'd come home, and a lot of times I work late. So I get home and I have dinner, it could be 7 or 8 at night, fairly often. I'd eat like 3 humongous bowls of casserole or spaghetti or think nothing of it with garlic bread. Man, I mean, I have no idea what my caloric intake was back then, but it was a lot. When I measured out my first Nutrisystem breakfast, you remember that? You laughed out loud. Because she's like, that's breakfast? 3/4 of a cup of cereal, 1 piece of toast, 13 grapes. And I mean, you know, you just look at it and you go, and there's no seconds. And so it slowed me down a lot on my eating, because I'm like, this is it? It did for a while. I'm back eating fast again, so. But I went from 195 to 165 in 3 months just by changing what, when, and how much I ate. I kept running every day too. And I bottomed out in 2009 at 155 pounds. But I stayed in that 170 range for a long time. I'm 180 now. I work out as much as I can, but I don't run every day anymore. I really try to watch what I eat, you know, and when I eat. I weigh myself every day. You know, I'm obsessive, so I weigh myself every day. Fitbits give you awesome information on how many steps and what your sleep patterns are like. And because I track things on a daily basis, I know, you know, what things affect me how. I know that if I have Mexican food or Chinese food, or if I eat popcorn at night, I'm gaining a pound. I mean, that is just every day, every time I eat Chinese food. Now I don't know which one's, if I'm gaining the pound because I think before I eat it I'm gaining a pound, then I gain the pound, or if it's actually, you know, whatever. But, you know, Mexican, Chinese, popcorn, you know, I don't know if it's the sodium, it's a 1 pound weight gain, for sure. Ketchup is bad. Soy sauce, buns and bread, you know, so you just kind of, if you track it, you get to know what's good and bad for you. And then there's sleep patterns. You know, I got a Fitbit originally because I wanted to see what my sleep patterns were like. I've pretty much figured out I need at least 6 hours of sleep every night if I want to function fairly decent the next day. I'd prefer 8, but I seldom get over 7. Seldom. That is unless we're on vacation. And if the alarm doesn't ring, I can string together many 8-hour nights in a row. Which tells me that my body would probably really like to sleep 8 hours a night. And I'm settling for 6. I look back on that day that I hit 155 pounds though. I remember the scale 155. I couldn't believe it. But my first thought after I saw it, I'm like, wow, 155. Still got more work to do. I wasn't happy. You know, because I had this little bump. The bump that above your belt. The guys get it. I don't know if girls, but it's the bump. It's the bump. You know, and I'm like, I am going to lose weight until I lose that stupid bump. It's just like yeah. So 155 still had the bump, you know. So I'm like, gotta, and then that was it though. I bottomed out. So we play these games with ourselves. We let ourselves slide until we hit a bottom. And then we get motivated to make a change. We make a change, we get some results, some positive feedback. We start feeling pretty good. And then it's easy to get lazy. Because you start thinking, oh, I'm good now. Good. You skip workouts, you don't eat as well. You run a few late nights in there. Lack of sleep into the mix. You start sliding back again. And no matter where we're at on the spectrum, we're never satisfied. So maybe we just need to be satisfied first. There'll always be somebody better off and somebody worse off than you are, both physically and mentally. I mean, who cares about that, right? You know who cares? There is somebody who does care. It's the lunatic on your couch. And for those of you who were here last week, you know who the lunatic on your couch is. For those of you who weren't here last week, the lunatic on your couch is that mind you can't shut off. That voice in your head that's always talking, that talks to itself, that voice that if you took it out of your head and made it human and put it on your couch, you'd want to get away from it. It's that voice that cares about how you stack up to others. The voice deeper inside, the one that's connected to God, doesn't care about it. But the voice behind the lunatic, which is your God voice, wants you to be healthy for other reasons. Our minds and bodies are connected. When one is sick, it affects the other. If our body is tired, our thoughts are going to be sluggish. Our thoughts can change when our body is injured as well. Trauma to our head, a stroke, Alzheimer's. Shouldn't the mind be timeless and ageless? How can you injure who you really are by injuring your body? I'm not sure you can. Who you are, the part of you I called your slow mind last week, the part of you that knows only love, is timeless and ageless. Alzheimer's, head injuries, strokes affect the fast mind and certainly alter your ability to connect with the God presence because your thought patterns are severely disrupted. But can it alter who you really are? I don't think so. Yet somehow it's all connected. I know it, you know it, and what do we do with this knowledge? Most of us blow it off. We eat and drink whatever we want, whenever we want. We smoke, we don't work out, we eat too much, we move too little. We fall into a rut, and we tend to stay there until we hit a bottom or get a wake-up call. You can never get enough of what you don't want. So if eating is your thing, the place where you go to get away, to squelch your emotions, for me it was drugs and alcohol. For others it's gambling or spending or sex. You can never get enough of what you don't want. And those obsessions work in tandem. So when I drank, I was playing in bands. So naturally, we're out playing shows. I'm getting drunk. First thing on my mind is find a woman. So if I was successful in that endeavor, the next morning you wake up and it's not really, it's a very hollow feeling. It's a very hollow way to live your life. Because, you know, what you're searching for is love. But that's not the way to do it. And so you get out of there and you feel kind of crummy because it just doesn't feel right. So you eat. You know, eat a lot. Maybe go buy stuff. And I think that all four of those worked in tandem for me. It's like drinking and then having this sex with people I didn't know, and eating and then buying stuff, and then sitting at home thinking, what the hell am I doing? I gotta go get drunk. And do it all over again the next day. And do that for 15 years. And so we have these obsessions that just kind of, when all we really want is love. We all want love. We want peace, comfort, and security. We have one of the world's greatest supercomputers, our minds, housed in this fantastic miracle we call a body. And what kind of fuel are we using? When we feed ourselves crap, we feel like crap. When we run the body down, we don't get enough rest, we get sick. And what are we feeding our minds? Garbage in, garbage out for the body and the soul. I think we kind of find a weight we get comfortable with and we tend to just stay there for a while. For me, I guess it's 180 right now. On December 1st of last year, I hit 188. It's the highest I've been in years. I was not happy. On December 1st of last year, I set a goal. I said, I will be 180 by the end of this month. And I did it. I lost 8 pounds in December. And all I did was I added running back in. Not every day, but I added it back in. And I really watched what and when I was eating. So, I get to January 1st, I'm down 8 pounds. I'm like, hey, that's kind of awesome. I set a new goal, 175 by the end of January. It's January 30th today. I'm 180. So 188 was a weight I couldn't stand for. But apparently 180 is. It's not enough motivation for me to lose that last 5 pounds. There's a really good book about nutrition called the Gabriel Method. And in it he gets into the mind-body connection pretty heavy. In it he says, the only thing you need to understand is that if you have more than 10 pounds to lose and you can't lose them, it's because your body has a reason why it's holding on to extra weight. Your body wants to be fat, and as long as this is the case, fighting it just won't work. You're not fat because you eat too much. You're fat because your body wants to be fat, and your body has the ability to force you to gain weight in the same way that your body has the ability to force you to breathe. And I thought that was really weird. I mean, like I had to read that over. Your body has the ability to force you to gain weight in the same way that your body has the ability to force you to breathe. He goes on to write an entire book about training your body to want to be thin by using your thoughts. He himself peaked out at 410 pounds and he lost over 200 pounds before he started to write and speak on the subject. It's an interesting idea that we're at the weight we're at because our bodies feel safe there. When I hit the highest weight I've ever been at, which was that 195, I was running 2 miles a day. And I don't do that now, and I'm 15 pounds lighter than I was back then. I changed my food habits, and I got down to 165, and I pretty much have kept those food habits. Kinda. So if I started running 2 miles a day again, I could probably get down to 165 pretty quickly. I'd most likely feel better, I'd sleep better. It seems like a lot of work though. It's time consuming. It's not a lot of fun running every day. So for now, 180 is my default setting. I'm not really super happy with 180. But it's not bad enough to get me motivated to change. And aren't a lot of things in life like that? We just get used to the way things are and we live with it even though we know a little effort could make it better. Sometimes we wallow in the quagmire of mediocrity and the only way out is to understand what is truly valuable to us. I have 2 Daves living within me that are constantly battling between themselves. Morning Dave and nighttime Dave. Nighttime Dave loves to stay up late, watch one more episode. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. Eat popcorn, chocolate, cereal, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, Oreos, like all kinds of stuff after dinner. Then go to bed 4 hours before morning Dave has to get up. Morning Dave hates nighttime Dave. Morning Dave wakes up 2 pounds heavier from all the junk food, groggy from the lack of sleep, and pissed off about the whole thing. You do that day in and day out, and you're overweight, tired, and angry all the time. That mindset follows you throughout the day, every day, and sets the tone for your life. Or you find what's truly valuable to you by looking within and setting your core values is next week's talk. It's a critical thing to know because you can't hit a target you don't hang on the wall. One of my physical goals is 6 hours of sleep minimum. So that means if I'm getting up at 5:30 a.m., 10:30 is nighttime Dave's curfew. Nighttime Dave's curfew. 7 hours in bed means I will sleep for 6 hours or more. And so the only way to rein in nighttime Dave is to set some limits. A while ago I started another rule. Only oranges, well it's not really oranges, but cuties. I like the little cuties, they're easy to peel. Only cuties, water and or tea after dinner. Only cuties, gotta be cuties. Like, don't give me an orange. But no sugary nothing after dinner. And oh man, I'll tell you, that was tough for a while. I mean, because I like chocolate, you know. No sugary nothing. But eventually, became the norm. And that was part of my 8-pound weight loss in December was only cuties after dinner. You know, it's very hard to love ourselves if we hate ourselves. When I wrote that, I thought, I understand that, but I wonder you know, how that'll go over. It's really hard to love ourselves if we hate ourselves. But I know what it's like to hate myself, you know. And there's so many little things that we do where we're nitpicky and we just like, you know, don't give ourselves a break. And how we look is a big one of them. It's very hard to love anyone else if you don't love yourself. And feel good within your own skin. Maybe we just need to be satisfied first. Take a good hard look at our lives and say, I brought myself to this point in my life. Where will I be in 5 years if I keep doing what I'm doing? Or in 10 years? Do I like what I see when I look in the mirror? Do I like what I hear when I talk to myself? And for me, maybe the most important question, do I feel passion in my life? Am I doing things every day that make my heart stir? We all brought ourselves to this point in our lives, in this city, in this room, on this day. What will we do next? Open your minds to the possibilities life presents and let yourself know the feeling of passion. Live with passion, because what is life without it? Next week, we'll be talking about core values and defining what's important to you. Defining core values can be harder than you'd think and extremely eye-opening as well. If we don't occasionally look within and define what's truly important to us, how can we live a life of passion? How can we lead lives of significance? We'll discuss that in detail next week. And in closing, I have only one question for you. Would you like to have a high-definition nude image of yourself in your physical prime? And if not, do you think you might someday wish you could see one? Thank you all for coming.